The biggest mistake people make when learning English, and probably one of the most common misconceptions, is that people think they need to study English. And I say, don't study English. Leave English. Now let me explain what I mean. What does studying mean? And how do people usually approach this process? How do people perceive studying? Studying means getting knowledge about something by reading, examining it in detail, or researching. We usually perceive studying as hard and boring, something that you can complete and leave behind, like a course. Or when you study in school, you can't wait to finish it and forget about it. When people think they need to study English, they usually think they need to take a course or work with a teacher one-on-one for some time, and that'll be enough. When they finish it, they believe they will know English and won't need to go back to learning again. Boy, are they wrong. Well, to be fair, to each his own. If your goal is just to pass a test like IELTS, then yes, you pass the test and forget about it. That's why it's important to determine your goal. Do you need English to pass an exam or test? Do you learn it for fun? Are you actually serious about it and want to truly become fluent in English? Do you need it for work? Or do you have an intention to move to an English-speaking country? A lot of people do need to just pass the IELTS exam, so they study for that, get their band, and then relax and stop because that was their goal. You can reach a certain level in English, maybe even a very good level, but then what? If you just quit practicing and using English, your skills will worsen. Of course, you can take breaks from learning. If you go a month without saying a word in English or not listening to anything in English, you'll be fine. But if this period expands to a year, you're most likely going to have to work on some skills once again, especially speaking, and you might forget some vocabulary. That's why I prefer living English. What do I mean by living English? You need to surround yourself with the English language so that you have no choice but to use it. You need to incorporate it into your life so much that it doesn't feel like learning anymore, but becomes just a part of your everyday life. Part of your routine. This way, you will not forget English, and you will not lose your skills. On the contrary, you will only be improving every day, little by little. You probably won't even notice your progress because it's going to be a constant thing. But mark my words, one of these days, someone will tell you that your English is great, and you'll be amazed by it. You'll think to yourself, but wait, how did this happen? That wasn't hard at all. And that's the beauty of living the language. You improve without even realizing it. Although it might not be easy at the beginning because it takes a bit of effort and discipline, it'll be so worth it. You can't just stop learning and using a language and expect it to stay at the same level. Have you heard the saying, if you don't use it, you lose it? Skills need to be maintained. When people go to college, they can't wait to finish studying, and they do, but then they usually proceed to apply everything they learned at their jobs. This helps them maintain and enhance their skills. You need to maintain a language so as not to lose it. It's just like with any other skill, be it playing an instrument or driving a car. After a big break, you need to work on your skills again. You don't forget them completely, but they do get worse. That's why people often find themselves in this vicious cycle of learning English but never truly becoming fluent in it. Becoming fluent in English is a goal for a lot of people, but the road they choose to get there often isn't the one that will actually get them there. By the road, I mean the mindset with which people approach learning a language and the approach itself. Let's just take my family as an example. We live in Ukraine, and you will very rarely see a tourist here in our city who speaks English. Finding someone to speak English with is also incredibly hard. You can take courses here, of course, and participate in speaking clubs, but I think that these options are available pretty much everywhere, and they are not free. My family kind of lives in its own little world, where we watch and listen to everything in English. I use English for my Instagram. I write posts and post stories in English. Our 2 channels are in English. I read everything in English. I speak English with my husband and son because we're raising our son to be bilingual. However, way back, I had lessons on camp. I worked with an accent coach. I took an accent course, and I participated in English study groups and speaking clubs. I made a lot of friends who I could speak English with, including native speakers. You know, I talk about this in more detail in my video called How I Became Fluent in English. So, even if you live in a country where nobody speaks English and you have no one to practice with, you can still live English. Believe me, over time, you get so used to this that you don't even understand how you lived before and why the heck you waited so long to do it. My husband, for instance, never even had a goal to learn or become fluent in English, but he didn't mind when I asked him to create 2 channels in English, watch everything in English, and occasionally speak English. He never checked any words or practiced deliberately. He just asked me about the things he was interested in. And now his English is at a fairly good level for a person who acquired it passively. I'll link my videos in the description where I talk about how you can work on your speaking skills on your own, where you can find speaking partners, and also where you can learn English online. And lastly, I wanted to say that one very important thing you need to learn to do is to enjoy English. Learning it, speaking it, and finding your own ways to have fun with it. Because if you think that doing all of this is too much, and it feels like a burden to you, you're not going to last. Okay guys, that's it for this video. And I really hope that it was useful for you. If that was the case, give this video a like, share it with your friends, watch it again and again and again, 10 times in a row. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, and improve yourself.